thought the team battled well throughout the game, and we talked about this being a playoff game for us, and having that mentality, and we'll have to keep building on that going forward for these last two games, and go back and learn from some areas where we can improve on to close out some of these games, and how we can be better.
Welcome to Red Stars Report, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news and commentary on all things Chicago Red Stars. I am your host, LT.
And I'm your co-host, Liz.
Liz, playoffs.
Playoffs.
Again.
As it should be. Playoffs.
Playoffs are synonymous with the Chicago Red Stars. They have the second most playoff appearances in league history. They had their, 7 years in a row of playoffs broken last season. And they're back from
as it should be.
From 12th place last season, and now a guaranteed 6 through 8. I will take it.
I think that I will, based on everything that happened too. Like, you can't, I don't think there's a lot of things happening with people going back and showing the receipts right now on social media about like what has happened and all the predictions. There were people that were predicting that we're going to get last. There were lots of that we didn't have a chance to make the playoffs. First of all, we're the Red Stars, and as you said, we are a perennial playoff team. So to say that we don't have a chance is kind of ridiculous in the first place, because somehow, some way we make it. That's just kind of what we do. I believe this is also a correct stat that we are the team that has been in the championship game the most and not won. I think that is a stat. I feel like I remember that.
So I'm just going to throw that out there. In the NFL. Would they go to 4 Super Bowls in a row and didn't win any of them? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I feel like that's correct. But maybe we'll get there this year, and it's going to be in the Midwest, so maybe we'll pull it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gotham last season, reigning champs, they were 6th, and the last team to make the playoffs, and then they made it all the way. Also were 12th the previous season, last in the league.
I'm just hearing a lot of things that mean that we're probably going to make the championship.
Yeah, that just sounds like destiny. If the league wants to just repeat itself, that sounds cool to me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the players. They've really fought hard, given some adversity this year. And it's been tough. There's been a lot of things going on with some scoring droughts for players and just some struggles just across the board. And so we're in. So that's first and foremost, but it's not over yet.
Yeah.
We do not want to be in 8th place, because you do not want to play Orlando.
No. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. I think like you said, like going back to the beginning, I don't remember if it was on yours and I, our preview episode to the season that we did playoff predictions, or did I do that
with? No, that was you?
That was
us.
Okay.
Yes.
So I couldn't remember if it was with Grant. But I think I remember you said 6th.
I think I said 5th or 6th.
And I think I said 8th.
So we were right there.
But we both said playoffs. I just want to put that out there. We both said playoffs. I think I may have been like, but we probably won't make the playoffs.
I think I was very confident. I feel like I was I said 5th or 6th. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. So
I was a little less confident.
I just knew because it was expanded, and then we have Mal coming back. And
I think that's why I said 8th, because I was like, I couldn't shoot for 6th. I didn't feel like at the very beginning we might have been a playoff team if there were only 6 teams making it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we expected Seattle to play so poorly. And
Houston, for that matter. Portland, I don't think anybody expected that.
Houston or Portland to play so poorly. Like San Diego. Yeah. There were teams that, and I think I looked it up last week. There's like I think four of the teams that are currently sitting in the playoffs were not in the playoffs last season,
That sounds
which
about
is
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
What a cool league to be a part of.
That's what makes this fun is that, and you don't know what's going to happen every year because you can have teams that you just don't like. Everybody expects Portland to be there all the time, and they might not make it this go around. And you've got Bay, who everybody like counted out at the begin before the season even started, and they're pushing for a spot. Like it's awesome. I love it because anybody can win on any given day, and that's what makes this league, and I'm going to say it, the best league in the world.
And it's even like it's unfortunate that even a team like Utah is like surging right now. Like they can't make it in, I don't think. But
I don't think they're technically eliminated yet, but
okay, that's
they'd have to
nice.
have like 9,000 different things happen that is completely out of their control
Because they
for
just
them to make it.
won 3-0 against Seattle. So it's like they're on this little surge, and it's like it would have been nice if like Bay and Utah went on these runs like so
Yep.
much earlier, because then you could have like this crazy playoffs of just teams that nobody expected to make the playoffs.
And all the tie breaks and all of that. Yeah, shout out to Chloe Cass for her hat trick in that Utah
Yeah,
game, Hawkeye. Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, love that for her. I wish that she wasn't in Utah, but it's fine. But yeah, I'm just pumped. It's just one of those things where I kind of expected it to happen, like given the rest of the season and how where we were sitting in the table. But looking at that Portland game, I don't like to point at one game, but where it was in the season, that really pushed us above that kind of chaos that's happening right below us
Yeah.
enough to give us enough cushion where we were in the spot where it's like, well, we didn't win, but we're just kind of waiting for these other teams to help us out and we're sitting in a good spot. Like Louisville's not, Bay isn't, like they're in Portland, they're all fighting. And that Portland win is so big. Like it's crazy to look at. I was thinking about that before the game. I was like, that game really pushed us ahead of the pack, kind of.
Yeah, Chicago came out of the Olympic break on a real bad run, leading off of a bad summer cup. And things were like looking down. And then they went on that little streak. And while they were on that streak, everyone else who was behind them was losing. And it was that stretch was important. Um, and I think the next two matches are obviously not important for whether or not they made the playoffs because they've already clinched that. Now, like you said, we just don't want to be in eighth place now. Like
No.
that would not be great.
Who would you
Even
like to play? Like if you had to pick, if
I
you had
feel
to pick a
like
team that's like in that top four-ish.
I know that I know that Shawinga's like on a tear this entire season, but we've played well against Kansas City
Mhm.
every time we've played them. We had that comeback draw, and then up until the last like several minutes of that last match, um, we were in it. So like I feel like that's probably more a one that I would look towards. We also haven't played Orlando poorly either. Drew them and lost 1-0 against them. Like the teams at the
You also
top,
could say
they're
Gotham, for example, like, yes, we've lost to them twice, but the goals to beat us happen at the very like
yeah,
death of the
it's just
game.
those late match scenarios that have been the downfall of the Red Stars as of late, and then also against top teams that gave us like a glimmer of hope to beating. And then it's like those middle of the pack teams that just keep slaughtering us. And it's like, it's so
Louisville.
confusing. Yeah, like Louisville. But now
Like
um
what?
they're are they knocked out now or can
No,
they
they're
still get
still
in?
hanging. They're
Okay.
still hanging there. I think that they need help now. It's so confusing because everybody's so close in the
Yeah.
points, and I don't remember who's playing who. But the stat when I was watching the game, when they were playing Washington DC, they had a stat up there like we think that we're bad at home. They put a stat up there about racing that it was while the game was going on that they have one win away, and
Oh,
you know who
wow.
that's against.
Yes. But they have a
But
lot
they
of
have five,
draws.
yeah, five
Yeah.
draws, and then whatever the losses were, but they have one away win,
Wow.
and they're going to play away for the playoffs if they get in. They're not going to be
Right.
hosting. So, but
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so yeah, we're not great at home, but that's a horrible road record.
Yeah. And we can thank Washington for this playoff berth because Chicago had a chance this weekend to create their own destiny and get into the playoffs with a win against Gotham, or at least some points against Gotham, and then some other scenarios to happen in the league. But basically the backup was hope that Washington can beat Louisville, and Washington came in and beat them 4-1. So uh, that was
Thank you,
kind of
McKenna
crazy.
Morris, for the brace.
A player who was on my near the top of my draft list, and I'm so jealous. Like, oh, she's
We're
so
lucky that
cool.
Washington has stuff to play for, like in that game that there's stuff to still for that. And Hatch said it in the post game. They were playing for Andy Sullivan, who just went out
Yeah.
with an ACL too. So they were definitely, and they're trying to get Rodman back. And I'm like, well, it's great that they're back, but I don't want to play you now with those
And
players
now,
back too. And
yeah, next
Casey.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But no, this is why this league is so fun though, is this sort of like excitement for so many teams. Like it's not just a couple teams and it's not the same teams that are at the top of the league all the time. Like this, it's a change up. And I love it. I'm so excited. I'm sure the players are pretty stoked too. It was pretty much inevitable that they were going to get in, but it's now that weight is off your shoulders. Now you want to move up that table as much as you can, to get sixth. This is the highest they can get, but still stay out of that eighth place spot.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Because
Yeah.
Marta's upset. Portland upset Marta this weekend, and we don't need to deal with that.
Yeah.
Her going on Portland's social media page and
That,
commenting, "Good luck making the playoffs," was
that
fantastic.
was a legend doing legendary things. Very good.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, I'm pumped for the team because they've been through a lot, and now we can just make the playoffs and see what happens because you never know.
Yeah. I'm excited too because, well, one, playoffs are always exciting. And the if you even just go back to this offseason, the team was sort of an unknown. Tons of free agents. We didn't expect many of them, if any of them, to sign back with the team. They got some great additions in the offseason, some unexpected ones that really like helped out in those role player roles. But then people like Natalia Kuika, the trade for Sam Staub, and then the rookies performing like things that were super beneficial for a team that was in last place the previous season. And then you just had to take all of those good things from the offseason and hope that they play out during the regular season. And they obviously had, like you said, their ups and downs, but you think of like Sam Staub getting injured in the Summer Cup. There was some early injuries to other players. Ava Cook going out with her season-ending injury super super early. It's like there's there was not much expected of this team because of the rebuild tag that they have. But to be able to go from 12th to either 6, 7, or 8 in a quote unquote rebuild year is something to be proud of as those players and as that coaching staff and that front office and that new ownership. What a leap to make, and what a good foundation as like your first year of your new era to build off of playoffs.
Yeah, I agree entirely. It's still a rebuild, but to make the playoffs in a rebuild shows you the talent that you picked up and how much further you can go. And that's, I mean, we haven't even had Ludmila for half a season. So give us a full off season to get everybody kind of going and whoever else we're going to pick up. Like this team has so they can jump even further. They could jump into hosting a playoff game next year potentially, depending on the moves. But to not really know like the takeover in the offseason, the coaching change, the in and out of players, like it's an absolute rebuild. And now we're in the playoffs. Like, and then you look at things like the goal differential. We had a horrible goal differential last year, and this year
Minus 22, if I
yes,
remember
and now we're
correctly.
I think at -3.
Yeah.
So it's still not great. It's still in the
No.
negatives, but
That's less on
it's
the defense this time and more on the
yes,
offense.
it's way better than what it was last year. So I am trying to just look at the positives of just like, yeah, it's still in the negative, but it's not 20s. Holy cow, that's awful. And so I just who knows? Like you get into the playoffs and you never know what can happen.
Yeah.
So like I'm just ready to see what they can do. I'm ready to see what they do in these last couple games of the season before the playoffs and go from there because it's just kind of ramping it up and hopefully Mal can get a goal in one of these last few games and see maybe that'll propel her towards uh, towards having a run in the playoffs because we're going to need her to score if we're going to do anything in the playoffs, I think.
And of course, like we mentioned last week, she's had her struggles putting the ball in the back of the net, and then she gets even closer this time by hitting the post in this last match, and it's like she's just inches away from getting that goal.
Yeah.
It's so
She had
frustrating.
Berger beat. She had
Yeah,
Berger beat. And
she
the
had
thing
everyone
is that would
beat.
have changed the whole complexity of the game too, because it was
Yeah.
still 0-0 at that point. So
Mhm. Things to think
but
about,
yeah, I'm
think
just
on.
yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah,
But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
but yeah,
We're in, and that's the most important thing.
right. Right. And I think it's super important to just look back at, like, I know everyone's coming off of this loss. They lost 2-0 against Gotham. There's Frank in the background. Shout out to Frank. Uh
Is he?
yeah, he just walked in the background.
Hey, Frank.
Love Frank. And so they just lost 2-0 to Gotham. And I know there's, you want to, a lot of people want to sit there and nitpick the team, criticize the team, whatever. But you just like think about what we were going through last season. Like every single week you were going into sort of feeling like, all right, here comes another loss. Here comes another 3-0 match. Here comes another 4-0 match. Like it was not a good feeling last season at all. And to watch at least how good this defense is with not even their best players playing is kind of crazy. So you look at this Gotham match, and for 88 minutes, um, the defense was on it, and just an unfortunate thing that happens in the penalty box sometimes happened, and that shifted the entire momentum of that match. Carrier Caro, while trying to clear a ball in the box, slips, falls into, and I'm pretty sure sort of just taps Ella Stevens in the ankle. She feels the contact, falls,
Flops.
PK, falls, flops, same word, different
She
context.
flopped.
She's a good player. She knows how to do that. If I remember correctly, we kept talking about last season people needing to learn how to fall, and Ella was the only person that knew how to fall on that team.
That's true. And she's learned from better ones at Gotham about doing it too, Rose
That's
Lavelle.
true. Um, so yeah, PK, Lynn Williams buries the PK 1-0 in like the 89th minute or whatever. Completely changes the dynamic of the match. Another goal goes in 2-0. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that PK, Liz? I know you have plenty of things to say about it.
Well, I didn't like the call. Ella wasn't involved in the play when it was initially happening. I can't recall who the other player was that Carrie was defending at the time that were both going after the ball. But and she slipped. Everybody was slipping on the field as well.
It's a very
And
common thing in Chicago.
yeah, so I wasn't surprised to see her slip. And so she slipped, and mid-fall, Ella decides to throw herself like in front of it, and she was going for the ball. I'm not saying like that was the whole intent, but she just clipped the back of her foot and she fell. And I did not think they were going to give it. I really didn't. I was kind of surprised because earlier in the game, there was that collision. I believe it was Mal and, or was it Ludmila and Sonnet?
Uh,
Um,
that was that was Ludmila
and
because I
they
think
didn't
T was the
call anything
one
there.
on the Mal penalty box
Yeah.
one
Oh, yes. And then there
that
was
he tripped
Tierna.
over herself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a couple plays where there were kind of things that could have been called. The one was in the box with Tierna, but then the other one with Sana and Ludmila was outside. But they
Yeah.
didn't call anything there. And there was contact. To me, again, it wasn't a call. There's no call there. I didn't think either of those were. I didn't think this warranted it either. I thought that there was a little bit of some acting going on with contact. You go down. I get it. People do that in the box. That's how you draw penalty kicks. She got it. Didn't like it. I hate penalty calls when the player is not facing the goal. It drives me nuts. Um, and if people were in the post-game chat in the Discord, I was talking about the rule change that I would like to implement, which is if you're not facing the goal, then it should be an indirect free kick rather than a penalty kick. But obviously that's not ever going to happen. But yeah, I just didn't like the call. It just felt soft. It felt like a
Yeah.
a soft penalty kick based on how the league goes in general.
Yeah.
And so then Juan Carlos Ambrose runs out onto the field and is screaming and gets a red card, and then they look at it and they give PK. It is what it is, but I don't know. It felt like if that wasn't given, that game was going to end in a draw. And it felt like we deserved a draw in that game.
Yeah.
But obviously, once we gave up a goal, then we had to push forward. So we made subs, and that made us play in a 3-back. And then we gave up a goal, which is going to happen when you're trying to push. But it is what it is. I get it. Also, I will say Alyssa guessed correctly. And if Lynn doesn't place that exactly where she does, I think Alyssa gets it because she
Yeah.
had the height right too, but she just nailed it into the corner. I was like, of course you hit that perfectly, Lynn Williams. You always score against us. I think I read a stat that she has scored against us 10 times in her career.
Oh my God.
And she's tied Alex Morgan for scoring 10 goals against two different teams. I can't remember what the other team is that Lynn scored against 10 times, but we're on that list. So yeah.
I don't like that. And then her always, going after Sam Staub's league scoring record, which, man, if Shawinga keeps playing the way she is, that record's going to get broken in like 4 years.
Yeah, she broke I think Shawinga broke
Singles,
Sam's
yeah.
single season record
Yep.
this
With
weekend as
19
well.
goals. Yeah.
I saw that
Wild.
picture of Sam in a Red Stars kit, and I was like, oh, the feelings.
Yeah. It'll never happen. So sad.
We
Because
never know.
she said that one time she was asked in an interview if she would come back to the NWSL, and she said, "Yeah, but somewhere that's warm."
It gets warm in Chicago sometimes.
Hey, summertime Chicago's fantastic. It's the best place in the world.
Yeah, it just was unfortunate. But it's fine. Like again, we had two shots all game. I
Yeah,
can't sit there and be upset about a penalty kick when we've defended the entire game if we are putting two shots up all game. Like I can't sit there and be like, well, we blah, blah, like yeah, it felt like we should have got a draw, but we're not doing anything offensively really to make like to put pressure on Gotham to push. So
yeah.
I
Not
can't.
not to make the obvious comparison, but because there are so many U.S. women's national team players on Gotham, it felt very much like the U.S. women's national team when they play those lower ranked teams that just sit in a low block, don't get anything forward basically. But there are times where those teams do get 0-0 draws against the national team because they play in such a well placed low block. And Chicago did that for
Yep.
basically a 90 minutes. But
Yeah, they did. Yeah, everybody's losing their mind before the Olympics because Costa Rica did that
yeah,
to the U.S. women's national team. So that's the thing. Like those low blocks work if you're real, and Chicago's very good at it. But we need to we need to progress the ball down the field, and our midfield needs a lot of work. I'm hoping that in the off season we can gel that midfield and figure something out because this is just not it.
yeah. I think this was Julia Grosso's worst match that she's played. Her passing just seemed to be off. Um, or at least like her reads were like she was getting read very well by Gotham. They were stepping on to her passes relatively easily when they did try to progress the ball up the middle. Um, it felt like so much of the match was going down that right side with Tatum. Like if Alyssa had the ball, they'd make their way to Carrie. Carrie would get it to Tatum sort of up the field a little. She would get pinned in and try to make a pass to like Allie or Julia or someone just like right or Shay when she was there, like just someone making a run in that midfield to then get it up the right side. Like it felt like that was like a play they kept going to. Like every single time they got a goal kick or a save in the box, it was just carry to Tatum to somebody making a an underlapping run in the middle. Like it's just it just felt very repetitive, very readable, very much like Gotham was like, we know exactly what you're going to do, and yet you still do it. um,
Yeah, it's the definition
so
of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, and it's just never going to happen.
yeah,
And like that just feels like what we keep doing, and it's frustrating to watch because there has to be another plan. There has to be something that we're going to be that we need to do. And there were times where Ali Schlegel was really impressing me in the game where it looked like she was kind of taking command almost of the midfield and bringing the ball up the field. She has great vision. She's trying to make passes. I like what I see from her. She's made jumps from last season to this season, and just impressed. And she just brings a different mentality onto the field. And it's been nice in the last few games to see her get minutes and bring what she does to the table because she is going to bring the physicality, as is B. Franklin, who almost busted Rose's nose.
I can't wait to watch B get like control of her movement on those duels in the midfield. Because there are plenty of times where she is so physical that she does foul a lot, but she's young. She'll improve. But like what you said about Shay, like we were talking about her last week. She just like when she's out there, she looks like someone who has been in the league for a decade. Like that's what she feels like because that's what she is. And it's not surprising that a player like that can sort of change the feel of the team a little. I think not. I think they should have subbed Mies in sooner than they did. I feel like that would have helped with the momentum. I doubt that it would have helped anything going forward, but at least would have given Shay some rest, who has now played significant minutes 2 matches in a row after normally not playing very much. And I think when it comes to just like the overall play, like we spoke about the defense, um, I think I just looked it up. Tatum had 76 touches in the match.
A lot.
Carrie next to her had 25. Hannah had 40, and Taylor had like 35. Tatum had 76 touches.
That is crazy.
I told you it just kept going through her, which is so strange to see.
And it's somebody that is not typically in the starting lineup too, which is
Well, not recently.
interesting. Yeah, not recently. Yeah, of like this season is somebody that's not been really in the starting lineup. That's interesting.
Yep.
That is an insane difference between Carrie and even Taylor.
Yeah.
That's wild. So clearly we thought that there was something we could exploit on that side of the pitch.
Yeah, and I think it was a lot of the like that's where Shea was a lot too. And I think they tried to play through her a lot. Same with Allie, because Allie got a lot of touches in that match, and then yeah, Shea got like 34 touches. Allie got 38 touches. Like that's pretty good for our forwards who normally get in like the 20s. Like that, it's
Yeah, we need
they were getting involved, but
more.
they were getting involved in the wrong half of the pitch. That's the that's the thing.
Yep.
And obviously touches aren't just like getting the ball passed to you. That's winning the ball and everything, which Tatum was doing a lot. She won a lot of her duels. She played very well, I thought, coming back after being benched for a while. It's nice that you can have a player like that on your bench if you're not going to start them, that when a player like Natalia Kuika goes out with a concussion last week, as she did, that you can just slot Tatum right back in there, who is a proven starter in this league, and she can perform well. And then I thought Tatum or Taylor on the other side was playing well. I thought Hannah played well. I thought other than the stupid PK, I thought Carrie played well. Like I said, that defense just sort of worked. And it's not even the defense that they would throw out there if everyone was healthy. So it's kind of wild to think what that could mean for them in the playoffs. They could, at the very least, play defense well enough to get into PKs if necessary.
And then we've got a listener.
Yeah, you got a listener who could, in those PKs, take a PK, perhaps. We could
I
see
thought
it.
Malum struggled a bit this game. I don't know. There was just something I didn't think that she had her best game. I almost
No,
was wondering if Cam would have been a better choice on the outside, but hindsight's 2020. Like that's the other thing. It's so easy to sit here and say like, "Oh, I think whatever," because I don't know. I just there were certain plays and I can't think specifics, but there were just parts that I was like, she's making me a little bit nervous out there. Because
yeah,
I think there's times where she gets a little high for my taste.
I
And
guess
then,
when I look at her stuff, it's more like what draws my eye with her is how well she plays forward. Like her passing accuracy in this one was pretty good. And like she was, when she did get the ball, she was somewhat moving it. But it didn't go to her a lot.
yeah.
Defensively, I think, I mean, at least she did her job. Like if the ball, if she was, this is what I like about Taylor. If she is playing too high and the ball gets turned over, her hustle to get back into position is not something you see from every outside back in this league. She puts her head down and she sprints back into position. And if a player does get a shot off, she's at least there to deter it. Other than that, her defense doesn't overly impress all the time, but I don't think you can say that about any of our defenders recently. It's more so team defense and not individual defense that is
Oh, yeah.
going well.
Yeah, we're big team defenders for sure.
Yeah.
I think in the fan vote in the Discord for the player of the match, I think it was Carrie that won it.
It
I
was
believe.
Tatum.
Was it not? Oh, it was Tatum? Okay. I feel like I saw Carrie's name. Maybe it was she was second. It's Tatum.
I
All
think
those
Allie
touches.
came in second.
I don't know what I was looking at then. Who even
Carrie
knows?
was up there for a little bit, but I think
Maybe I
Allie ended up
saw,
coming in second.
I don't remember I don't think I voted, but maybe I did.
You always forget to vote.
Actually, I think I voted for Allie Schlegel now that I think about it. I voted for Allie Schlegel
Oh, okay. Well, she came in second.
because,
Congratulations.
yes, look at what I got, second place vote there. But
I
yeah,
voted for
Tatum
Tatum
makes
because I'm
sense.
biased.
I thought Tatum was, it makes sense. She touched the ball probably more than anybody else on the field. So,
Yeah. She was
yeah, I
there
mean,
the first play of the match went down her side of the field and she tackled the ball out of the box. Like that's what she does. Like it immediately she made an impact and I was like, all right, here she is. She's back. Just back to 1v1
she,
defending, knocking the ball out of bounds, just playing very well.
yeah,
Obviously
she's talented.
we talk about the passing is I think it's getting a little better, just like incrementally at times. And then sometimes you just watch some passes that you're like, oh boy, and like maybe maybe that one should have stayed at your feet. But yeah, I thought she deserved player of the match. That's why I voted for her. But the team as a whole did not play super
No.
well overall.
No, but there were glimpses of good things. And that's the thing. Like if we're built to play a block and we're built to then kind of transition out of that, get some breakaways, things like that, we're built for that at the moment. That's what we're going to do. It's not going to change. We're not going to magically change tactics here at the end of the season. So this is what is going to happen. And I I think that depending on who we get, I think Kansas City is a solid team for us to play, given the fact that their defense isn't as talented as I just remember that they got Kayla Sharples. Um, I forgot about the trades that happened, but anyway.
It's not like the
But
improved
yeah,
defense of Bay FC when uh Abby went over there and is playing like super friggin' well, which is crazy.
right. That's the thing. Like I feel like KC we can exploit with their defense because we're so fast up top. And so
Yeah.
we just need to get the ball to those players in positions where they can take on the defenders. And I feel like we're struggling to do that. And I need it to happen from our midfield. Julia Grosso, I need more. I forgot you were on the field at times and I need to see you. I've said this a couple times now. I need her to just go demand the ball.
Yeah.
Like if you're not getting the ball, go demand it and bring it up the field. Like she is a player of that caliber she can go do that. Go demand the
Yeah.
ball and take it up the field because that's what we need. We need somebody that's going to command that midfield. And I I feel like she is that's what they brought her in to do. And I haven't seen it yet. And I know that it's only been what, 5 games or something like that, maybe. So there's still time like to figure it out.
But it's like frustrating that you can see it in glimpses. Like there was one moment in this match where I can't remember if it was like Hannah or Alyssa that played her the ball. Her back was facing the defense and she just turned, got past the first person, and then there was another help defender there and she just like put her arm out a little, kept her space from them, got around them, and then made a pass. And I'm like, that's the Julia Grosso that needs to be there all the time. Like, not just these one plays that I can remember offhand. Like, I need that consistently. And I'm fairly confident that it's a tactical thing that's keeping a player like her limited. Um, because there are just like we talk about how this league for years has been known as like this transitional league where teams just play defense, get the ball, get it quickly downfield for goals. Like that's what this league has been for years, whereas other leagues are very tactical, very methodical with their movements up the field and their passes and everything. And I feel like this league this season has somewhat been trending in that direction, especially with a lot of the new players that have come into this league. And Chicago's still on that train of get the ball, move it very quickly down the field. And those are like the exciting moments that we saw in this match, were those moments where we get a turnover and Hannah would boot it down the field to Mal or boot it down the field to Ludmila. And it's like, yeah, cool. Like those moments are exciting, but you get two or three of those chances a match in wide open play like that. And that's not enough to keep up with where this league is going offensively.
Yeah, it's not sustainable at all. Like it's not a sustainable type of offense. And you gotta keep up with the Joneses here, and we gotta figure it out. And it's not a thing that's going to happen this season. That's absolutely not going to happen at all this season. We're
No,
not going to magically change what we're doing because Lauren got hired in the off season and wasn't here for all the pieces that came into place. Like, give him an off season. Let's build the team. Let's figure it out. Give everybody time to work and see what comes next season. That's what I'm waiting for, because I think there's a lot of people talking about Lorne and like tactics, and like we've even talked about it a little bit. There are
mm-hmm.
things that we could change to make it so we're not sitting in a low block all the time. Those are some things that we could change. But he didn't decide all of this stuff. He came in midway through the off season. So give him a full off season. Let him do his stuff. He's a smart guy. He's a good coach. Look at what he's done with the Jamaican national team. So I just want to give him some time to see what he can do in the off season and go from there. But as we both know, like he's not going to make a tactical change in the games leading up to the playoffs and into the playoffs. Like we're just not
Not a
there,
big one,
especially
no.
no, given the changes or like the injuries that we've had and stuff. Like we're just here, and shouldn't say nobody. A lot of
And we
people
did.
didn't. Yes, a lot of people did not expect Chicago to be in the playoffs, and that to me is a win. But it's not good enough, and it's not going to be good enough for the players. They want to win. They want to win the whole thing. They want
Yeah.
to do what Gotham did, and I love that. Like I want that too. I would love that. That would be amazing. But I just am happy that we are where we are. We're not sitting there like Portland and Bay and Louisville where we're still not in. Like we're safe now. So now it's just trying to figure that out and figure out that like get Kuika healthy. That's another big thing.
Yeah.
And speaking of injuries, Tierna Davidson got injured during the game, and I hope that she's okay because she's battled through so much. And as a former Red Star for many, many years, it's never fun to see her get hurt. And so hopefully it's something minor and it was just precautionary to take her out.
Yeah, they talked about how she had a thigh injury earlier in the season, and it looked like when she had pulled up, it was either hamstring, thigh, like like in that area. So hopefully it wasn't like her re-aggravating that injury, and maybe it was just some tightness or something. Like I would hate to, I would hate for her story to be finished. So hopefully it's just something minor. Like I would rather see her continue to succeed at Gotham, where she believed her, career would advance to even greater heights. And so like watching that was not fun.
To be fair, I'd probably also injure my thigh / hamstring if I was running after Mal or Ludmila. So there's that.
I would injure walking after them. I bet that Like I'm tall, I got long strides, but they probably walk faster than I friggin' walk. Like
I zero chance. I would have, even if they gave me like 10, 15 yard head start, still would get smoked.
it would be like that what is that? What is the baseball team that does the ice man or whatever, who he like
Oh,
they race, like someone just
yes.
runs and then he stays back and then he goes
It's
way
not the
later than
Marlins,
them.
I don't think.
No, I can't remember who it is.
It's not really if it doesn't make sense with what team. Like it's just some random team. I can't
Yeah,
think.
but
But yeah,
like
I know who you're
in a
talking about.
race like that, they would absolutely crush me. I used to run track and
Yeah.
they'd crush me.
I'm more of a distance runner as a former soccer
Yeah,
player.
I
So
ran
yeah, no,
sprints, and they would still dominate me, I am quite sure.
yeah, it's just yeah, they're so quick, and we just need to utilize that. Other than these balls over the top, we need build up play. We need players in the midfield like Julia Grosso bringing the ball up, them making runs and through balls into open space for them to run onto. That is what I'm looking forward to next year. As we progress with the team that we're forming. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm happy we made the playoffs, of course, but I like looking forward even after this season. And I know that we're going to talk about this multiple times, but
Oh yeah.
it's so exciting to think about like how much we've moved forward from last year to now to see what like you can see what is how we're progressing as a team.
I like I have not followed this club as long as many of their fans. But in the short time that I have followed this club the last several years, it's like to watch them go to like cup finals during COVID, to watch them go to the championship that following year, and then to go through all of the crap that happened following that, and then that weird 2 year transitional period where like everything felt uncertain, everything felt like you didn't even know if this team was going to stay in Chicago, um, to now just at least have an off season where things felt like they were going well, like organizationally, and then bad player wise, and then good player wise, and then in the start of a season that was unexpected, and then to just go through a season of like it, like watching matches and being happy and enjoying watching this team like we did for years prior to the BS that was going on. um I'm just happy about being back in that space and knowing that it'll only get better because this is just the foundation of who this club is now. It can be so much better moving forward, and just getting that little taste of the playoffs, whether it's one match or multiple matches, will do wonders for this franchise.
Yeah, I think after missing last year, missing the playoffs and getting there, that feels like a win for me, just getting there. And I'm sure it feels like that for the players as well after everything that's gone on. And some have been here for it, some have not. And it's such a good feeling to know we're back. Like it feels like we're back. We're back where we're supposed to be. We're on the up and up. It feels like things are going to get better, and it's so nice to know that we're going into an off season where things feel stable. Minus the fact that the league just changed all the rules of what's going to go on in the off season, so that's going to be kind of unstable in that regard. But everybody's going to be on the same like to what's happening type of thing.
Yeah,
So it's
I
not
think
just
it's
our
gonna be
club.
more confusion than instability. It's just it's
Yes.
like everything feels like it'll be fine, but I just don't know why it's going to be fine because I don't understand it.
Because everybody's going to be on the same page with it. So it's like, it's not just like, oh, Chicago's a mess. It's going to be like, well, or confused or whatever.
Yeah.
It's everybody's confused. All the fans are confused.
Yeah,
All
things are
like,
going to happen. You're going to be like, wait, is that allowed now? Like, I don't remember that being a thing.
exactly. So
Now let me go
I don't
read the
know.
entire CBA to find out.
But yeah, I'm just excited for the team. And I'm especially like Alyssa, she kind of bet on herself and the team by coming back. And
Yeah.
Mal, same thing. Like these players that came back, they bet on themselves and the team and Laura Ricketts and what she's going to do. And things have gotten better. And I there's a lot of work still to be done, obviously, this season, and they still have their eyes on the prize for this season. But it just gives you hope moving forward that maybe all of the crap is behind us, hopefully.
I mean, you even think like, yeah, Alyssa's extension was 1 year, but you trade for Sam Staub, and just a few weeks later, she extends her contract for multiple years. You sign Mal for 5 years. You sign Ludmila for multiple years. You sign Julia Grosso for multiple years. You sign Natalia Kuika for multiple years. You extend a rookie that's performing incredibly well, like Hannah Anderson, for multiple years. Like there's no more of these like like go picking up the option on a player and they're only going to be here for a year, or extending them for 1 year. Like there's no more like, oh man, now we're going to have to deal with that when the time comes. Like it feels like the core of this team is stable, when the last few years that it's felt like who's going to be here next year and who's not going to be here. And then there are obviously players like that are going to be question marks this offseason, but it feels less detrimental than the previous seasons. Like
Yeah,
the
like we have that core
uncertainty.
group, and you don't feel like the rug's going to be pulled out from under your feet as a fan this year. Like, yes, we're going to lose players, and yes,
You
players
always
are
do.
going to, yeah, it's always going to happen. And there's going to be some good players that have been with this team that have been solid for us that aren't going to come back. And that happens every year. But it feels like we have, as you said, those players, like we have a solid group that isn't going anywhere minus a trade or something that like the team's going to have to agree, the player's going to have to agree, all the things are going to have to fall into place for that to happen. But it feels like there's players that want to be here for multiple years, and that gives me faith in Laura Ricketts and what she's building with this club, and that is what makes me feel good. And that's why I'm so glad that these players are going to get to go to the playoffs this year, because it just feels like a solid build of positivity from a team that's been through so much negativity.
Yeah, I would have hated for a team with uncertainty coming into the season to say, hey, we're good enough to make the playoffs and then not make the playoffs. Like that would have been a blow, I thought. Um, if the team had come in and been like, I don't know about this, like maybe we'll make the playoffs, and then they didn't, they'd be like, okay, well, there's always next year. Like it felt like there was enough this season that the players were like, like we deserve this. And they feel, I don't know if it's just because I pay more attention to this team than other teams, but this team feels like they are fighting for that playoff spot more so than the other teams that are fighting for a playoff spot. Like everyone else still feels like they're just kind of like cruising day by day, like, oh man, like we lost, or oh man, we like good, we won, like we're closer to the playoffs. The Red Stars felt like they were like, we have to do this. Like this is something we need for this club. Um, and they got it. So, cheers to them, because they, even though this season's been kind of up and down, like they did like the third or fourth step down from a championship. Like that's good for a team that's in a rebuild.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's rebuild year. And I read somebody posted, does anybody actually want the eighth spot in the playoffs? Because everybody's acting like they don't want it right now.
Right.
Somebody posted that. I read that and I was like, yeah, it seems true. Like that's the thing. Like Chicago feels like they have been going out every game and giving it their all. And it it might not look pretty, but it sometimes is effective and sometimes it's not. It is what it is. That's why I play the game. But I'm so happy for them, and I'm hoping that maybe next year the Cubs can make the playoffs so that Dansby doesn't come to games because we keep losing every time he comes to games.
Ah. Oh man, that's
I just had to throw that out there.
and he was supposed to come to a bunch of matches last season until Mal got injured, and then he didn't. And now here he is showing up. Come
Yep.
on, Dansby.
I know. Come on, dude. You got to
I
get
need to go and
something.
look at all the times that Mal's gone to Cubs games and see if they won this season. I'm pretty sure I remember a lot of times like the Cubs uh or the Red Stars players going to Cubs matches this season and the Cubs losing.
And
So
it
maybe
checks out.
it was like a little taste of your own medicine there.
That's hilarious. That would be really funny. Yeah, because he was because they were celebrating Mal's
Mal's 100th, yeah.
100th. Yeah, so they had a thing for her, which is fun and wonderful and awesome for her. But stop coming to games, Dansby.
Oh God.
The last two are away, so
Nobody
maybe
send this to
no. Yes,
Dansby.
right. You can come after me, Dansby. It's fine.
I'm all the way in Iowa. Good
I'm all the
luck.
way in Iowa. You good luck finding me. I'm not in Des Moines where the iCubs are. Don't worry. Um,
Right.
but yeah, like maybe he won't go to DC.
Yeah, I mean, they're not playing right now, so he'll probably go. I don't know.
But
What's he
yeah,
doing right now?
I don't know. I maybe he's gonna go watch the Dodgers and watch his buddy Freddie play or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we put on a solid performance against Washington though.
Of course, Trinity's back and Casey
I
Creedy's
don't think
back.
Casey played this last weekend. I
No,
don't think I saw her play, but Trinity came in for a little bit.
but she's off the list, the
Yeah.
availability list. And
And she
then
didn't get a yellow card, so
no, no, that would have been beneficial to us with her accumulation getting suspended. But I always say I always want to play the best. Like
full
I
strength.
yeah. I'd rather face a full strength team and beat them and be like, look, we beat them at full strength. Rather
And we
than
beat you without Sam Staub.
yeah.
And hopefully Quick is back. I'm fingers crossed that that concussion is not too severe.
Yeah. And hopefully McKenna Morris slows down.
Maybe
I,
she got all of her goals out of her system in this
yes.
game and
From
all
the
of those
previous
good
matches
things.
that she's been scoring in.
They're a good
uh,
team, but
they're
I'm
so
hoping that
good.
we can. I again,
I
I
think
think that there's
SAR's
things that we
back
can
too.
exploit.
Is SAR
Uh,
back?
I
Or is
think
she
she was
still out?
still
Okay.
out. I think she was still out.
Okay.
But I think that she's going to be close. They said that there he why am I blanking on his name?
The head
Coach,
coach?
coach's name.
I don't know it. I
Oh,
forgot his name.
Heraldez, that he is very, very careful with players.
Okay.
Because like when Puteas was injured, he was very slow at getting her back in at Barcelona. And so
Mm.
I'm not surprised that he's taking his time with these players because they're playing to host and they're playing for different seeds and stuff, but they're in. So he's going to take it. He's going to be careful with these players. And that does, again, I give us everybody. We'll see what happens. They're a solid team, but
Yeah.
we can beat them.
Even with everybody with them that's available, they wouldn't be everybody that they were earlier in the season because Croy Bethune's not there because she's
And
out with
Andy.
and Andy both out with SEIs. So um, both of these clubs not going at each other with full numbers. That'll Yeah.
It'll be fine. It's
it'll
going to
be
be a good
interesting.
game, I think. I think it's going to be a good game.
I think it'll be a good match. Washington has, every time I think of Washington, I just think of the finals from 21. That's all I think about when I when I think about them. They really need to change their logo color and its look and
I'm still mad about it.
Just completely change everything about your organization, and then I'll forget that you existed and caused me pain 3 years ago.
That game was pain. Oh man. But yeah, that's the thing. I think about that same thing too. But I truly believe that we can compete with them. I think we can compete with anybody in the league, to be completely honest. That's
I mean, like we were
Orlando.
talking about earlier, like we played well-ish against Orlando. We played well-ish against Kansas City. Like,
yeah,
those are
we're
teams
right there.
And New York, like the top teams,
right there.
They're not getting dominated against. It's these stupid middle of the table teams that keep hurting us.
And Angel City.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not counting them as a middle of the pack team.
Yeah, that's true.
They probably should be, but I'm not.
With the players they have, they should be like middle of the table.
Shout out to Kristen Press though, for her
100th.
coming back and scoring since 2022 and her 100th cap as well. I'm so pumped. Can't wait to see what we're going to do against Washington though.
Yay.
It'll be fine.
Playoffs. No, we're in the playoffs. We're good.
I'm so glad that they made it this weekend. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to just talk about a loss to Gotham. I'm like, okay,
I know. I wanted to talk about some happy stuff.
Right. And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I know how people feel about the losses. Like we feel the same way about the losses as everyone else feels. Like who wants to talk about a loss? But you know, we come here and we do it. And then when we get like those little pieces of news that we can overshadow the losses with, it's always beneficial for our mood and our excitement when it comes to doing this stuff.
Because nobody's going to remember really that we lost to Gotham. I don't think everybody's going to remember we clinched the playoffs this weekend.
Yep.
So
that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's all that matters. We're in, and let's just not get 8th.
We're in, but just stay like 6-7, please.
Yes, please. One of the two.
Just get a win or a draw, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that based on how the games played out, I think that's probably correct, but I don't know all the scenarios. I don't think they could probably. My math isn't good, so.
Yeah, I used to be good at math, and then I stopped. I wasn't in high school anymore, and then I stopped caring.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue. But I think that we're sitting pretty good. So hopefully we can just get a win and stay in that 6th spot and be happy.
Yep. Yeah. So with that, we'll wrap things up for this week. Make sure that you're subscribed to us and have your alerts on so you can see when our podcast goes live. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like. That really, really helps us and gets more eyes on our videos and stuff over there and helps reach more Red Stars fans who don't know about us. Make sure that you're following us on our social media channels at Red Stars Report on all of them. Keep up with the latest news. Don't forget to join our fantastic Discord community with the link in the description. And we'll ride into DC, hopefully get a win, and then we'll be back here next week, hopefully talking about a win.
Let's hope so.
We'll be talking about more playoffs at least. We'll throw that in there for some excitement. Just keep talking about it.
Always. We made the playoffs.
Yep. All right. We'll see you next week for another Red Stars Report.